Ryan, just I guess a good place to start with your quarterback, Marcos. The guy's been playing for a while. Let's talk about Marcos and what he brings to the table for you.
Yeah, really excited about Marcos. Even more excited that he's going to be here at semester. He's big, 6'3", 220 plus, very confident, played a lot of ball. He's thrown for over 9,000 yards in his career. So has logged a lot of winning football from that standpoint. Big arm, extremely talented, can make every throw, strong, accurate. All of the things that you need to be hopefully an elite level quarterback. He's got those intangibles, those tools. So very excited about his career here.
And it looks like you really bulked up on the offensive line. 6 today, I should say, 4 high school, 2 JC guys. Just talk about the need and the desire to just add some depth and some size too.
Yeah, needed to add numbers just from we were so short in numbers when I got the job here anyway, and so we're able to identify the type of guys that we want moving forward. We'll add some more from a transfer portal standpoint as well, with the idea of getting bigger, getting athletic, having some depth. I thought depth was one of the things that we lacked this season. So we'll have depth creates competition, and this is the Big Ten, so the emphasis on big. So definitely want to get bigger up front.
When you're on the road recruiting, Ryan, what question are you asked the most by parents and recruits?
Depends on what stage. If it's a high school recruit, you talk about academics, you talk about environment, you talk about developmental plan, and fit schematically and culturally. With the transfer portal recruits, it is a much different conversation. They have gone through the recruiting process. They have specific wants and needs. It's definitely more. It's less relationship, more fit. And obviously they're more mature because they've gone through a collegiate season or 2 or 3 or 4, and so those are much different conversations.
You mentioned big when it comes to offensive line, but Jaheim Merriweather, obviously he's 6'2", 200 pounds. How important was it for you and Coach Connor to get a big running back to go behind that offensive line?
Yeah, definitely important. What's interesting about his recruitment and sort of his evaluation when I first got here and we were going through the list of running backs that Coach Connor had put together, he was the one I was like, man, I want him. Like, let's go get him. You talk about size, talk about speed, talk about versatility. He's great out of the backfield as a receiver as well, super versatile. And so for kudos to Coach LC for taking the directive, like, hey, I want to go get that guy, and sure enough we were able to sign him. Just an infectious kid too, personality wise. He's ultra confident. So he's another guy that'll be here at semester, and so I'm thrilled to have him being featured in the backfield moving forward, and I think he'll fit in great here in West Lafayette.
Jaheim camped in June, and then if you go back to the same type of camp period, Spencer Porath obviously came and kicked for Coach Petrelli and all during the beginning of June. What does it say about Spencer that he came and kicked for a scholarship, and also just what do you like about bringing in a kicker like him?
Yeah, what I like, so I've been around some pretty good kickers just in my collegiate career, both as a player and a coach. When I was a player at Colorado, we had Mason Crosby, who was one of the best kickers in the country when he was coming out. Was with Jake Elliott at Memphis, who's still kicking for the Eagles. And the things that those guys had in common, they were good athletes and competitors, just as people. And Spencer is definitely fits that mold. He plays basketball. He's not your typical kicker per se. He would during winter workouts he would fit in from a mat drill standpoint. You know what I mean? So he's got some competitiveness to him. He's got a chip on his shoulder. So anytime you can bring a guy like that who's not just a kicker, he's an athlete, that definitely bodes well for high pressure situations. When the game's on the line, he's going to be wanting to go out there and wanting to be put in those high pressure situations.
Ryan, about a year ago this time, you had the job for about 6 days.
Yeah.
Where are you personally, and where's the program compared to this point last year?
Just much more prepared, much more educated on what our needs are. If you look back to 6 days ago, a year ago this time, we were in a completely different stage. We had some high school guys that were committed, that we were trying to keep committed. And we had no idea what the roster looked like and what our needs were from a transfer portal standpoint. So you look at a year removed, we've identified what holes we need to fill. We have identified, who we can count on to play winning football in this conference that was currently on our roster. And we've been able to evaluate and recruit guys to come help us win a championship. And so you look at where we'll be January 8th when school starts. We'll have a couple scholarships left just in case moving forward, where a lot of our guys a year ago came in the summertime. So I think chemistry will be better, competition will be better. In spring ball, we'll probably be able to have a spring game because we'll have the numbers to do so. Coupled with the stadium being finished. So I'm definitely excited for this spring semester and getting those guys here, inundated within the culture, acclimated to the rigors of Purdue academically, adjusting to the environment of West Lafayette, and getting to know each other and spending time with each other. So it is night and day comparatively from where we are right now to where we were a year ago.
Ryan, Donovan Hamilton was one of the late additions to the class. Can you talk about the process of recruiting him, getting him on campus, and getting him to commit so fast, and then what you guys saw in him?
Yeah, was aware of Donovan a year ago. His background, he had been a basketball guy, and still is. Like he plays really well. He's a hooper. But you look at his tape from his junior year to his senior year, there was a big jump. And so what that tells me is he's got a high work ethic and he knows what he wants to do, and he knew what his limitations were. And so you watch his senior film, like there's no wonder that he got the accolades he did after the season he had. And so I'm looking at his tape at the end of the year, and looking at some of the other guys that we were recruiting and that might have even been committed. And I'm like, man, this kid's right in our backyard, and he's one of the best in the class. And so, we're looking at a transfer portal for a bigger wideout target, and I'm like, this kid in 3 years we would be dying to have. And so, why are we waiting? Why are we, thinking about whether or not to bring him to our campus and having him in our locker room? And so we decided to offer him a scholarship. Brought him up to campus on an official visit, so he got a glimpse of who we are, what we're about, and how he fits. So it was an easy, organic, transition from being recruited to having like a real relationship, and comes from a great family. So I'm excited that he'll be here, and he'll be here in the summertime because, like I said, he's hooping.
So, as everything's kind of changed in football recruiting over the last couple of years, how do you view high school recruiting in terms of the overall picture of program building these days?
It's still huge. I mean, we got 23 guys that are committed right now from the high school ranks. So, if you look back to before transfer portal, before the craziness that is now, you were allotted 25, right? So we're too short of that. And so what that tells you is high school football still matters. High school recruiting still matters. I do want this to be a developmental program. I knew that the first two cycles were going to have to be, transfer portal laden, just with the lack of numbers we had. And but hopefully moving forward, you get to develop guys and have them in your program for 3 to 5 years, to create culture, to create standard, and and create, have retention within those ranks. So I think it's definitely still hugely important, and hopefully we won't have to dip into the portal as much moving forward.
This stuff all kind of bottlenecks. You got your signing day here, you got your transfer portal stuff going on. Is the calendar in your mind workable right now, or does it need to change some things?
It's not my job to think about what is supposed to be changed, or what's good or what's not good, or what could be better, or what needs to be done away with. Anytime I'm spending on thinking about those things, it's taken away from just taking advantage of what the calendar is set right now, what the rules are right now. So it's our job as a staff to just adapt and adjust to what is currently allotted and take advantage of it. And I feel like we've done that.
Ryan, recruiting your own players and the kids that are so committed has become even more important over the last couple of years. What does that process look like for you?
Yeah, relationships matter. The Boilermaker Alliance matters, but retention is at the forefront of what we're trying to do. Like that is of the utmost importance. Right now there's like one guy that I'm like, damn, excuse my language, but I'm like, man, I wish we'd still have him. But everyone else, I understood it, and some of it was encouraged. So I feel good from that standpoint, just on the retention. But retention is not possible, and the guys that we have committed from the transfer portal is not possible without the alliance. And I think people need to understand that. Like these conversations wouldn't even be had. The trips, the official visits wouldn't be possible without the alliance. And so you look at where we were a year ago. We had some transfer portal guys come in and played some quality minutes for us, where we did not have help from the alliance. And so I'm looking forward to see what that looks like in terms of productivity come the fall.
I think Grant O'Brien maybe had the most success for you guys on the recruiting trail. Just what have you seen from him in his first year in an on-field role and the recruiting role?
Yeah, just his relentless pursuit of gaining relationships. He is not shy about having uncomfortable conversations, and for lack of a better word, like bugging people. You know what I mean? Like he is relentless that way. He's genuine and authentic, and what you see is what you get with OB, and he's the same guy every day. So I think recruits appreciate that consistency, and he's an intelligent individual that cares about this profession for the right reasons. So I think people just gravitate toward that genuine authenticity, and I'm happy that he's here. Obviously, like we've got a history together, and it's been fun for me to just watch his growth in his career.
Ryan, how often are you asked about NIL when you're on the road?
I think every coach in the country will tell you, like the amount of times you're not asked about it are like shocking. You're like, oh, like you don't care about NIL? That is nature of college football right now.
And then just, you talk about the Boilermaker Alliance, the collective. I mean, again, in your words, it sounds like the situation has gotten a lot better from this time
Absolutely.
last year, this year.
Absolutely. There's been a lot of talks, a lot of meetings, and a lot of support. I think Purdue faithful is understanding the importance, understanding the impact that having a strong collective has on and how that effect can have direct correlation with success or lack thereof when it comes to competition.
I guess then what's next here? You said you could have a handful of scholarships open when the spring semester starts. Are you done with the high school kids? Because there's one more, of course, signing period in February. You've got 8 portal guys. Is there any idea, maybe the number of new faces that could still be imported into the program here?
Yeah, I think from a high school standpoint, we're probably about done. like I said, we got 23 guys that are committed and signed. There are a couple more portal guys out there that we're hoping to close here pretty quickly.
So looking at the players that you have signed and the players that you are looking to sign, especially on the defensive side, and your D-line, your linebackers, and all of your defensive players, what do you specifically look for in order to fit your schemes that you guys run?
Yeah, man, every position is so different. So this could be a long answer, but from a defensive line standpoint, you got to have length and be able to win one-on-one matchups. The way we're structured from a front standpoint sort of creates one-on-one plays throughout the down, right? So you gotta have length, gotta be strong and quick and be able to move laterally. If you're on the edge, you got to be able to be quick off the ball. Again, you got to be longer. You're usually going up against offensive tackles or tight ends, and you got to be a little bit more athletic than the guys that are inside. At linebacker, you got to be smart. Communication is key. You got to be able to get downhill. Like I said, because of the blocks that you're getting up front that are creating one-on-one matchups, usually your gap is exposed, and so you can get downhill, and you need to get downhill. So being shy or shying away from contact is a no-go. So you got to be tough. In the back end, a lot of the onus on some of our adjustments are the onus is put on the back end, and so you got to be smart there. It's no secret we play a lot of man-to-man coverage, and so you got to be technique sound and athletic enough to do so. You got to be able to change directions and run and locate the football. And then at corner, you got to be tough, man. Like it is sometimes you're put on an island, so you got to be willing to accept that challenge and thrive in that type of environment and have a short memory. But at the end of the day, like defense is about running to the football as fast as you can and then getting there with an attitude. And so all 11 guys that are on the field at that time got to be tough.
And looking at the players coming in, which players are you hoping will make an immediate impact, kind of like what we saw with Dylan Deanman?
Hopefully all of them, right? That means we hit a home run with this class. But again, we wouldn't accept or take anybody and put them in this program if we didn't feel really good about them. You don't just hand out scholarships for favors. You know what I mean? So everybody that we've signed, we feel like are going to help us win a championship. So which player can have an immediate impact, like that is entirely up to them. I think that's the beauty of football is the game doesn't care about how old you are, what your skin color is, what your socioeconomic background is, or what happened to you yesterday. The game only cares what happens from snap to whistle between the white lines, and so whoever is supposed to be out there playing and making an impact will be out there.
I've heard coaches say 1,000 times over the years that junior college players are typically better their second year. What did you see from your two offensive tackles that you believe they can help you right away next year?
You're talking about from the junior college that we just signed?
The two junior college offensive linemen.
Yeah. One, they're like physically when they walk in the building, you're like, okay, they got a shot. You know what I mean? Jaquan is 6'7", 350, and he doesn't look 350. You know what I mean? Like he's put together. Rod is the same way. He's I think he was like 315, 320. Does not look that way. And so that's why I'm glad they're also getting here at semester. Sometimes with junior college guys, just with their academics, don't get available till May, and so it's huge that they're able to come in January. Because usually the biggest hurdle is just getting them used to a Power 5 environment and learning the scheme offensively. And so having 8 weeks of workouts with Coach Rowe before we get started with spring ball will be huge in terms of their physical development and getting their bodies prepared to play football. And then spring ball, getting inundated within the scheme and with the techniques that Coach Johnson is teaching those guys up front. Hopefully we can speed up that process and not have to wait till year 2 for those guys to realize their potential.
With what you want to do offensively, is it more important to have size and power, or is it more important to be athletic and agile and quick and all that?
Both.
Preferably both, obviously.
Preferably both, yeah. I think you got to, obviously this conference, you know, the defensive line you're seeing in this conference are massive. And so, you know, there's the old adage, like big people beat up little people, you know what I mean? So you got to be big in this conference. But with the way we spread it out and the way we go from sideline to sideline, and really the way we've been creative in the run game, definitely you got to have some athleticism and be able to pick them up and put them down and move laterally.
Can you just tell us about Coy Beasley and Luke Williams and where they fit in positionally?
We'll see when they get here. You know, I told them that in the recruiting process. Like, I'd be lying to you if I knew exactly what position they'll be playing and exactly, you know, what their skill set and strong suits are. You know, I haven't worked with them yet. I've seen them play. I've seen them in the positions that they're currently in high school. But until I actually get to work with them and try them in multiple positions, you know, I'd be lying to you if I knew exactly where they would fit.
What do you need to see from defensive backs when they get here to sort out the safeties and corners?
Just movement skills. You know, at corner, typically you're a little more athletic, just in terms of your being able to be fluid and change directions, and you know, play the ball down the field. You know, at safety, you usually got to be a little tougher in the run game because you're asked to be there more often. You know, but the way we play, like, you know, everybody's got to be able to cover and everybody's got to be able to tackle. So that's why you just take as many athletic DBs as you can and sort them out when they get here.
What do you need in defensive tackles?
Like I told, what's your name?
Bree.
Bree. Like I told Bree, you know, from our interior guys, you know, you gotta have length, you gotta be big, you gotta be able to win one-on-one matchups because the way we're structured, usually you're getting a one-on-one block.
We've got time for a few more. We'll go Sam, Tom, and Meg.
Ryan, I think a year ago you said recruiting strategy for you was to lock down the state and the surrounding states. And I know it doesn't happen in 12 months, but I think you have 13 or 14 recruits from Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, and then one of the top players in Kentucky, one of the top players in Michigan. Are you pretty satisfied with the footprint you've made in this region?
You know, I'm satisfied in our targeted areas, but I don't think I'll ever be satisfied with, you know, where we're at, right? Like, I like where we're at year one, but you know, yeah, the moment I'm satisfied, I got to get out of here. You know what I mean? You guys won't see me at the podium anymore. You know, this is a competitive place. You know, obviously you got basketball is #1 in the country right now, and we are definitely not. So no, I'm not satisfied yet.
Ryan, is there a sleeper in this class? You think a guy who maybe deserves more attention than he's getting at this point? Also, do you have any funny anecdotal stories from the road recruiting? Any crazy chase scenes or just trying to flag somebody down while you're on the road?
Crazy stories. It actually, you know, like today there was no surprises today, so that's awesome. Like when you go to signing day, you're not like, oh snap, like what's going on? That's usually a good day. So nothing really wild or out of the ordinary. Got to eat a lot of good food. You know, I hate to say it, but I've gained like 12 pounds through this time period. You know, worked out for the first day yesterday in 5 weeks, so got to definitely get back on that.
Meg, go ahead. Finish us off.
Gotcha. We're finishing off here, so let's put these into clusters real quick. You talked about Donovan earlier, but what do you like about this receiver group with Shamar, Jesse, Traymar, and obviously Donovan?
Yeah, all of them can run, and obviously all of them have really good ball skills. And to me, like all of them, like the potential is through the roof. You know, nobody's polished. They're obviously ultra productive. Otherwise, they wouldn't be here. But you know, their potential, like I said, is just like I said. We would be looking for a lot of them in the portal right now. You know, 3 years from now. So Definitely excited about that group and what they bring from an athletic standpoint and a competitive standpoint. Like all of them have the chip on their shoulder and make game-changing plays like you see it on film. And so I'm excited for that.
Staying on offense, that four-man group of Max Parrott, then John Randall, Jordan King, Jaden Ball, the offensive line group. How does that group fit together, and what stands out to you about them?
They're already really tight. Like they've got a group chat thread kind of going on, and all of them have gravitated toward one another. Obviously they all fit the bill from a height and weight measurement standpoint. And all of them, they play a little nasty. So, Marcus, or Coach Johnson, he's got a definite idea of what he's looking for from the offensive line position. I thought he did a great job of identifying and signing and closing those guys.
If you lump the front five in together, you got, I assume, 2 D tackles in D'Amico and Caleb, and then you got 2 maybe outside linebackers, Jamari and DJ. I mean, you can say where you think Jamari will play, but that front five group that you're bringing in, what do you think about what Coach Janine and Coach Haley added to their rooms?
Yeah, they added what we need, right? You got size and athleticism on your interior, and you got some versatility and some length on the outside. And all those guys have great scenes. What I love about this class too is, especially when you start getting commitments so early. A lot of those guys committed in the summertime after visits. You worry about how their progress their senior year, and all of them to a man, like they had great senior seasons. So that is one thing I'm proud of with this class.
And then finishing off that last cluster of the DB group, big group, obviously. You got Tide, Caleb. I mean, we can go on and on about the different guys that are in there, but what do you like about what you're adding to the defensive back room and how it helps improve the defense back there?
Yeah, you're adding speed and versatility. I think all of them have position flexibility. A lot of them also play both sides of the ball, and so you got ball skills from that standpoint. And nobody is afraid in that group. Like everybody, it comes downhill, and when they have the chance to get a good shot on somebody, they do. So looking forward to the competition in that room.
All right, thanks, Coach. Thanks, everyone. Happy